All right. Let's get the show on the road.
Watch, there'll be like a lot of people that come.
Be weird. Be like, oh no.
But if it's more popular than like a district webinar, that'd be awkward.
I'd be scared. Like, I think some people would be salty about it. So
they'd be like, "What's your secret?"
It's popularity. People like me. Just kidding. I'm gonna do a quick vlog.
Is it day 3 of Kappa? Yeah.
Everyone, it's day 3 of CapiKeyWins, and we are working on a webinar. We're about to host a webinar right now, Tracy and I. So it's gonna be pretty fun. Yeah. All right, let's try this again. Hey everyone, it's day 3 of CapiKeyWins, and Tracy and I are working on a webinar. Say hi, Tracy.
Hi.
Yeah, you can't see her right now because we are live streaming. All right, so we're starting in 4 minutes. We can possibly start in like 10 minutes. Depends on who's there. So. So, how's your day?
Mine?
Yes.
It's okay. Work was boring. I almost fell asleep.
Nice. Do you think we have enough content here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only one person watching. That's me.
How awkward would it be if no one shows up?
That's what
so like it's just us like talking to each other about like how to write a resume.
I mean, we get credit for it.
Yeah, we still get leadership hours, I guess.
I know that the LTG for 44 North like emailed all their like officers and stuff about our webinar.
Ryan or
yeah, Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan, right? Yeah. Wow. Support us. Support us. I hope. Let's see. I'm gonna share the link to. Oh no, my messages. No. Oh no.
You're sharing it too.
Presidents. Or actually, here, I'll copy a link. I'll send it to. Oh no, private messages. Private messages. Private messages.
Okay, I think I got everyone. Possibly.
Did you post on D27 North and South?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me find it. D27, D27 North. D27, D27 North.
Wait, is
Man,
this
look at all these.
Did you sign in or is that actually someone?
I think that's someone. Oh no. Don't look at my stuff.
Wait, shouldn't you have the presentation on the first slide, not your tips?
What are you talking about? It is on my first slide.
Oh, why does it show up on tips? Oh,
So the thing about live streams, you have like half a minute to a minute delay. It's kind of confusing. D27, D27 north, D27, found it. D27, D27 south. Screw it.
Wait, now it says one person. That means someone left.
Completely disinterested in what we're doing. D27 south. All right. What's up, y'all? We get started right now.
Let's talk to each other.
Hi, Tracy. How's your day?
What is a resume? Watch people like go back and like re-look at this resume building webinar, and then we're like talking to ourselves.
Yeah.
Wait, there's someone else. Is that you?
Hi. Wait, did they put in their chat?
No, it just says 2 people watching. Is the other person you?
No.
Oh.
Maybe. I don't know. All right, we're starting our webinar in 4 minutes.
Oh wait, someone else.
Oh, we're starting our webinar in 4
to
minutes.
My chat.
Wait, did you chat? Did you send me a message?
I said, is that, oh. We have our first person. Wait, there's another person now. It says 4.
Heck yeah. All right, so do you want to start the webinar in 3 minutes, or do you want to start the webinar like, you want to delay the webinar a bit?
Let's wait for more people.
Okay, so we can start our webinar in about 9:25. How does that sound?
Sure.
All right, sounds good. All right, so hi everyone, welcome to our webinar. We're starting, at 9:25, but for right now, let's mingle and have a very short icebreaker.
You're only talking to one person.
Oh, really?
Alex Kwong.
Oh, shoot. Hi, Alex. Yeah, just go ahead and write your name down onto the chat so we can keep track of who's there.
Oh, my sign-in, duh. I have to.
Yeah, and also Tracy has a sign-in sheet. Write it down so we can keep track of your hours.
Let me get the link.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I forgot to put the description on the YouTube channel. Got lazy.
Alex says hi.
Hi, Alex. I love you.
Wait, why doesn't this work? It says I can't include a URL.
You can't? Oh, this is awkward. Okay, so I'm going to be... Here, I'm going to...
How do I put the sign-in sheet then?
Here, I'm going to put in the description right here. So, bam. Okay. So, send me your sign-in sheet.
Oh.
I think I can edit right here. CapiKeyWins had a better resume.
Who's this person?
New phone, who it is? All right, Tracy. Copy link address. All right.
Wait, I feel like someone just messaged me. Oh.
That is a long URL.
Just.
Yeah, let me see. I'll fix it. Save changes. Saving changes.
Oh wait, now the link works. Like I can send it. How was safe trick or treat? Wait, who is this?
It's probably Brandon.
Who's Kilo?
Is it? All right. I don't know.
Kilo is.
Kilo.
How was safe trick or treat? I did not go to safe trick or treat. I was at work. It made me late for work too.
Gigi.
Oh, it's Dale.
Oh, hi, Dale.
I was like, who is Kilo?
Okay. Yeah. So for those who just joined in the chat or the video, we're starting in about 5 minutes.
I know you, Dale. I remember you from the Delta meetings.
I love Dale.
Hello, Dale.
We have 3 likes in our video.
We have 6 people watch. Who just left?
Dale.
No, it's not. I don't think it's him.
Oh, never mind.
Wait, technically we have 5 people watching because one of them is me.
Oh, well, one of them's me too because I'm on my phone.
Oh, you are? That means there's only 4 people. Oh wait,
Hi,
no, now
Tatiana.
there's 5 people.
Yes.
Hello.
Welcome, Tatiana. I think that's Tatiana.
Yes, that is.
Okay. Cool.
Wait, we have another person. Oh wait, no, they just left. Why do people keep leaving?
So what do you want to learn from this webinar, everyone? Type in the chat below or on the side.
No one's typing. Wait, now we only have 5 people. I want to learn skills to improve my chances of getting a job. How to get a job after graduating college.
Tracy, I just noticed that like
What?
wait. Present to everyone. There you go. There. That whenever you speak, the webinar just switches to your face.
Wait, what?
Yeah, whenever you speak, the view switches to your profile. Because I forgot to present to everyone. Now it's presenting to everyone.
Good. I didn't have my video on.
How do you get a job while in high school? How to get a job after graduating college? TT. Great. These are perfect questions.
Let's see if anyone has signed in so far.
He was, oh my God. Lawrence is here.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Ha, I'm the best, David. You're not the best.
Oh no. I was watching UC Davis and they don't have, don't worry about it. We're not worried. We're chilling. Tracy, he needs permission to sign in. I think you need to change your permission.
Maybe that's why no one did. Hold on.
Mistake, Tracy.
Okay, now everyone can sign in.
Heck yeah.
I always forget about that with our Circle K accounts.
Yeah. Tatiana said she thinks she overdosed on string cheese. You know what would fix that, Tatiana? A good old resume. Okay, we're going to start. Oh, Ricardo's here. We're going to start our webinar in 1 minute. literally just staring at the clock.
Wow, we have a Kiwanian.
Ooh.
Andrew Fong.
Oh, heck yeah. Hey, Andrew. I miss you.
Wait, Andrew is in Kiwanis?
Yep. All right.
I didn't know that.
So it is 9:25 p.m. Thank you, all of you that showed up to the webinar. Sorry we had to delay it for another 10 minutes. We're just waiting for people to come in. But welcome to our Resume Building 101 webinar. And also welcome to CapiKeyWins Week. My name is David Yuino. I'm the Capital Division Lieutenant Governor.
And I'm Tracy Liu, and I'm the Capital Liaison for the District KFAM and Foundations Committee.
And this webinar is going to be, since we have a pretty reasonable turnout, it's going to be part webinar, also part discussion session, as well as we answer your questions along the way. So don't be afraid to type down in the chat any questions you have. So here we go. Okay, so introduction of hosts, like I said. I'm David Ngo. I'm the Capital Division Lieutenant Governor. I spent 10 years in the Kiwanis family. This is actually my 6th year in Circle K. And my occupation, I am a software engineer at a startup company, and I'm also a freelance developer as well.
And then I'm Tracy Liu, and as I said, I'm the Capital Liaison for the District KFAM and Foundation Committee. This is my 8th year in the Kiwanis family, and my job, I am a calling supervisor at my school's call center, and then I also intern with the Stockton Heat hockey team.
Really fun fact. These 2 photos were taken back in 2014 when Tracy
a freshman.
And I was a junior. Yeah. So put that into perspective. We look pretty cute still. All right, so moving on. What is a resume? So on Google, it says a resume is a brief account of a person's education, qualifications, and previous experience, and it's typically sent with the job application. Not just with the job application, but there is a whole, I would like to call a resume packet, which comes with the job application. There's a cover letter that the hiring manager reads before a resume. There's also a list of references that you send alongside with it. And our definition, so how I personally like to describe a resume is basically it's you on a piece of paper. And it's another way to get a first impression, which is, most of the time the hiring manager or the employer has never seen you before, but they have your resume. So you're telling your pretty much whole story on that piece of paper. And a resume is not a shoe-in for a job. It's more of a ticket to get you that interview. It is the first stage of a job application process.
Okay, so some fun facts about resumes. The first one is employers only look at your resume for up to 30 seconds. So that's actually something that I didn't know until I started applying for jobs. But yeah, they only look at it for 30 seconds. Only 35% of job applicants are actually qualified for what they apply for. If you include a picture on your resume, you have an 88% chance of getting your resume thrown out. The only exception to this is if you have some kind of graphic career, such as a model or actor, that's totally fine to include your picture. 76% of resumes are thrown out because of unprofessional emails. So make sure you do have a professional email when you're applying for a job, such as your first name, last name @gmail.com or something. 68% of employers will find you on Facebook, so make sure you don't have anything that you don't want your future employers to see. This is something that I found interesting. Although an average interview is 90 minutes, 33% of employers know within the first 90 seconds if you will be hired. So make sure right when you meet your future employer that you make a really good first impression, because that will mean the most to them. And then 26% indicated weak handshakes as a reason to reject a candidate. So make sure when you have your first impression, you have a really strong handshake. So that won't be a reason that you will get rejected.
And we're not saying a strong handshake, like a monkey grip handshake where you kind of help make them lose all blood circulation in their hand. It's more of showing your confidence and presence in that interview process. A good firm handshake is a great indicator of that. All right, so now there is not just one type of resume. Not all resumes look the same. There are actually different types of resumes that akin to different types of positions. From left to right, we have the technical resume, we have the graphic designer resume, and then we have a general purpose resume. Since a lot of our target audience, Tatiana, are high school students, the general resume can be a bit more applicable to you. But so just take a look at these resumes and kind of like see the difference in each of one of them. In the technical resume, there is a structure where there is a summary, there's this highlight of skills, and there's also work experience going down there. The technical resume focuses mostly on projects and skill sets that the employer is more interested in. Now, in the graphic design resume, it's a bit more aesthetic. It's a bit more kind of out of the box, and that's something that most employers, or a lot of employers in the art field, are looking for. Someone with a really good eye and design skills. So of course that resume reflects such that. Excuse me. The general purpose resume highlights because back in high school, or because in high school you may not have a lot of exposure to work experience, then you can pretty much highlight your experience in school, your extracurriculars, and highlight how you are as a person in this general purpose resume. And then you can also highlight your previous work experience as well. They're a bit more lenient on that.
Okay, so as you guys saw from the pictures of the resumes, each resume has certain sections. So some possible sections that you can find in a resume that you may include are obviously contact information, which is usually at the top of a resume. Something that is optional is an objective, which we will go more in depth in a future slide. Be sure to include your education. And then also, of course, your employment history and your experience. And then you can also have other sections which are completely optional depending on if you have space or not. You can include your leadership positions, such as like any officer positions that might be relevant to whatever you're applying for. You can also have accomplishments/awards. So any maybe like academic awards or something that might help your resume for the job that you're interested in. And then also you can have a skills section. A skills section may be really helpful for those who might not have any employment history. So you can use the skills section to boost up your resume for future jobs.
Okay, so let's talk about the contact information part of the resume. Of course, you have your name, your address, your email, and number. Those are the basic must-haves in your resume. But you can also include your social media presence as well. Many people include their LinkedIn username. Or if you're a designer or a photographer, sometimes people include their Instagram or at least another website to kind of show that they show their portfolio and proof of work, basically, through the social media. There's also you can also add a website or a portfolio, like I said earlier. So I'm a software engineer and I have repositories that have, or version control repositories that have my code that I've worked on over the years. And this includes your GitHub and your Bitbucket, but also if you've made a website. So if I am a web designer or web developer, I include my website link as well, because that will greatly enhance my resume, and that will also spark interest in the employer. That it adds another level of depth in your resume, as they can also refer to the websites or the social media that you have. But also, let's also talk about the objective section. Now, you probably learned while making a resume that an objective section is a component that you can add on the top of your resume. But there has been a lot of debate recently about like whether or not the objective section is valuable. Now, having an objective is completely optional. The objective is basically just a statement that states the purpose of your resume, why you are applying to the job, and what you're planning to get out of it. And basically, yeah, you're just basically stating what job you're going for. So saying, in my objective, I would say I want to obtain a position as an administrative assistant in the financial services industry, or you can also say that looking for a startup position in order to start pioneering the virtual reality industry or something like that to spark some interest. However, some employers don't really see the point in this objective section because your job application already says it. And we're gonna get to the topic of resume real estate later. But sometimes, depending on the job, an objective section can be compromised for the better things in your resume.
Okay, so for the education section, be sure to list your education from current or most recent to your oldest, and then include the name and location of your school, your degree, and then your field of study / major. So below are some examples. To the left is my example. So all I put is my college degree. So I will graduate with a Bachelor of Arts. I will graduate in May of 2018 from UOP, and then below I have my major as psychology with the sports management minor. And then on the right side is David's. So he already has a Master's of Science, and then he also has a Bachelor of Science, and then he lists they're from UOP, and then he also listed his graduation year.
I also want to add in that it's pretty important to add your most recent activities first, or your most recent experience first. Like my Master's of Science, I put it on top so they can see, okay, this guy has a Master's of Science. It's going to be the first thing that they see, and then they see my history in education. Yeah, so it's a typical progression that you should put the most recent experience to the least recent. And Alex Kwong, he asked, is an objective specific for one job position, or it can be universal? So you can have different resumes for different jobs. It's not that uncommon. So an objective can basically, the more specific, I would say the objective, the better. So the employers can have a clear idea of what you're looking for. But if you're planning pretty much like bulk, like throwing your resume around, then a universal objective wouldn't hurt either. Wouldn't be as effective though.
Okay, so the next section, usually below education, is employment history. So similar to education, the easiest way to list work experience is in chronological format, starting from your most recent or your current job, and then you work backwards in time. Be sure to include your job title, your employer's name, the location, and then the start and end dates. And then also below in bullets, include a summary of your responsibilities and accomplishments. And one thing that recruiters really like is having accomplishments that include numbers. So an example would be, since I was a student caller for University of the Pacific, so I raised money for University of the Pacific. One of my bullets was raised $10,000+ for University of the Pacific. So definitely have goals that goals that include data. So that's definitely something that recruiters really like. And then similar to what I said before, you can have other sections if you have room in your resume. One section that you can consider adding is your leadership positions. So since you guys are like in Key Club and Circle K, if you have a leadership position, such as an officer position that you feel like would help your resume, such as maybe like president or something like that, you're definitely more than welcome to add that. And then in your bullets, just include what your job is as that position. You can also add a section for your skills. So maybe something like if you're applying for like a film job and you want to put a skill section, you can do like something like your experience with a certain film editing software. And then another section you can add is your accomplishments and awards that might be related to what you're applying for. So an example is if you are applying for like a sports management job or something, and you're in the sports management program and you get like sports management student of the year or something, that can definitely be a related award that you can add in that section. So yeah, these are examples of our resumes. So the left is mine and then the right is David's. So you can see the top has our contact information, and then below that is the education section. And then below David's, he has relevant coursework. So that's another optional section that you can have if your related coursework is something that would boost your resume. So that's definitely something that would help David since he's in like the tech stuff. And then below that, he has skills, which is an optional section. And then I have work experience. And then he also has a leadership section. So yeah.
So some resume do's and don'ts. So do spend a lot of time on your resume. So your resume can't be built, a quality resume can't be built overnight. A quality resume requires a lot of trial and error and a lot of feedback going to your resume. And a lot of thought to think about the employer that you are applying for, the job that you're applying for. Because like I said earlier, you can have multiple different kinds of resumes to be akin to different applications. And also do update your resume regularly. So, the amount of times that you update your Facebook, or your Instagram or your LinkedIn, put the same amount of love and respect to your resume as well. So that one day you don't have to really clutch and throw a random resume out if you really want to apply for a job. Do keep your resume to one page. Now, I know a lot of employers, they would completely ignore a resume if it's more than one page, because they have to sit through hundreds of resumes and they have to look through all of them and form an opinion for each. So be considerate of your employer and also be smart about it too. But there are some exceptions. I've talked to a few career resource advisors, and they said that if you have a lot of experience, a lot of good relevant experience, then you can probably get away with 2 pages of resumes, but that's a special occasion. Have others proofread resume. So sometimes you can work on your resume for so long and you think it's a piece of art and stuff, but you kind of overlook the small little details because you look at it for so long. Have a lot of friends or colleagues look through your resume and provide their feedback as well. It can only improve your resume. Be consistent with terms and tenses. So if you have some acronyms or you have some jargon that you have on your resume, be consistent with them and don't interchange. So if you say application and program, and if you're using them both at the same context, don't say application, and then suddenly my program does this, because that just shows some inconsistencies and would confuse your employer. And also tenses. So if you're keeping your resume past tense, keep it past tense. Some people will pick up on it. And also pay attention to formatting. Now, So I worked at Raw Sushi Bistro as a sushi chef there, and I also worked as a part-time hiring manager for that restaurant. And the countless resumes that I've seen, if they look ugly, or if they look like they were just slapped on together, I throw it away right away, because they clearly don't have the skill or they don't care enough to apply for this job. They're just looking for a quick and easy job. Yeah, so pay attention to formatting and make sure that your resume is neat.
Okay, so for the don't section, going off of what David said for paying attention to formatting, make sure your resume isn't too graphic. So don't like try to impress them with like a bunch of different colors and like headers or borders or stuff like that. Make sure that the employers are focusing on your information and not the design of your resume. The second is don't worry if you have no relevant experience. Obviously, there's going to be people that don't have job experience, so their resume will mostly be like their education, their skills, their leadership positions. So that's definitely fine. Make sure you have a strong skills section. Highlight all the skills that you feel like are related to whatever job that you're trying to apply for. Don't steal the job description's exact wording. So if you have had a job similar to the job you're applying for, don't use like their job description as your summary of what your responsibilities for that other job have been, because that's definitely something that they will notice. Also, don't put obvious skills. So if you do have a skills section and you're applying for like a general job, try not to put something like knows how to work with like Microsoft Word or something, because definitely a lot of people do know how to use Microsoft Word. And if you put an obvious skill, it not only won't help you, but it's also wasting your space on sections that you can add more information. So unless you feel like that's definitely something that will help your resume, such as if you were applying for like a data entry job and you feel like that's related, that's totally fine. But try to put the most important information in your resume. And then something that you guys might not know is you should not put your reference information on your resume, because not only does it take up a large chunk of your space, a lot of people that are hiring might just ask for their references after, or they might not even ask for references when they're hiring. So keep out your references unless they ask for them. And then one of the most important things is don't forget to spell check. Even if employers spend only like 30 seconds looking at your resume, they probably will notice spell check problems, and it's definitely unprofessional if there's a bunch of misspellings and grammatical things in your resume. So be sure to check over it before you submit it. And also don't be too detailed. Obviously, it's good to add descriptions and explain maybe like your responsibilities at a job you've done, but don't get too detailed, because that will take away from your resume and also add more content and take up more space than you'll need. And then also don't have a generic resume, because employers will look at resumes and want a unique applicant. So if you have something general that most people will be able to make, then they will not pick you because they want someone that is unique.
Having a generic resume also means using those general templates on Microsoft Word or the templates that you find online, because chances are hundreds of other applicants are using that same template. So if you put them all on the floor and you look at it, they all look the same, and it will bore your hiring manager's brains out. They would look at it much faster. It also shows that like you don't put the amount of care into that resume.
So Tracy, before we go on, Tabitha had a question, which is, what are references? So references are basically people that know kind of like your work ethic. Many times when you're applying for jobs, they'll ask for references. And references are usually someone that is not related to you that can speak on your work ethic. So if you have previously had a job, you can use like one of your former bosses. And then if you haven't had a job, you can use someone like maybe a key club advisor, someone like that. Basically, someone that knows you really well that can talk about your skills and why you would be a best fit for that job.
Choose your references carefully. You know, if they are more relevant to the position, then choose them. You know, if you're looking for a business administrative kind of job, then like find someone that you worked with, like probably in a team or a Kiwanis advisor that has worked with you on board, because they would also have like a good reference for you as well.
Yes, the teacher
Yeah.
works as a reference.
All right, so moving on. So some tips. Now, Andrew Fong, he mentioned that they don't even read the bottom sometimes, so put things on the top. Now, I have a few tips about building your resume, and I'm using my resume as an example. So there's this thing that I really like to call a resume real estate, which is the limited space that you have to put your information in the resume. And some, like Andrew said, some hiring managers only look at the top part before making a decision. I know that like when I look through resumes for Raw, I look through only the top third part before like deciding whether or not this guy's a good fit. Now, if you look onto the graphic to your right, I have like the arrow pointing down from most important to least important. You know, so the details that you put on top of your resume are your priorities. This is something that you want your employers to see first. You know, so how I structure my resume is that I want them to see that I have a master's in engineering science. I want them to see that, and then I want them to see that what kind of relevant coursework do I have that would strengthen my position in the resume. Then I want to like show them a very simple summary of skills in my software development, in programming, and all my hard skills and soft skills as well. Then if they really want to look further, then I have a list of projects to put like to describe. So like it's basically the icing on the cake for them if they're really interested in my soft and hard skills. Now think about the perspective of a hiring manager. Basically, put some empathy into it. If you read your resume again, what is most important to you and what really stands out to you? You know, think about like read your resume within 30 seconds and see what's the most important information that you can pull out of that from looking at your resume. And if it's hard for you to do that, bring some friends or bring some colleagues, your network, professional network, professors, teachers, Kiwanians over, and let them like read over your resume and ask them, like, give them like a time limit, like 30 seconds. After 30 seconds up, ask them what things stand out to them the most. Tell them to tell your story through just reading your resume, you know, and just see if what they say to you really like resonate to like what you're trying to convey from just talking about your resume. Because most of the time, employers won't even see you or meet you, you know. So are you doing yourself justice with your resume? Sometimes less is more. If you look at my resume, it's quite wordy, you know, and I'm planning to like modify my resume just a little bit so I can get the things across. So sometimes you can use bullet points like Tracy used before to highlight some data or highlight some accomplishments that she made. You know, be straightforward with your resume. And also, before we said don't be too detailed, you know, there are some details that you save for the interview. Just let that resume put your foot in the door first. And like we said before, take advantage of quantitative data, numbers, in your accomplishments. Now, you know, sometimes I like to use percentages. Sometimes I like to use percentages if I don't think the numbers are great enough, or if I think that it's going to make my resume sound better. Such as if I jump from reading two resumes or two proposals an hour to 4 proposals an hour. That doesn't sound like very impressive, as my efficiency in reading proposals and approving proposals is increased by 200% or something like that, you know. And that would be a bit more impressive, but sometimes that's skewing the truth. So, you know, take that to your advantage. Yeah, so these are some tips. I really want you to take advantage of the idea of a resume real estate, because that's pretty valuable. Take advantage of your space.
Okay, so some resource is that you can use. The link included is from UOP's Career Resource Center, which is a really helpful resource. Definitely, if you don't go to UOP, you're more than welcome to use it. If you scroll to the bottom, there are a couple downloadable guides that you can use that are related to job searching. So there's a whole guide on how to write a good resume. So some of the information that we got for this webinar were from the guide. Also a guide of how to do cover letters, as many jobs will require a cover letter. How to ace job interviews, how to have a professional LinkedIn profile, an interview guide, and then also writing personal statements and essays. So if you need help with any of those, definitely check that link out.
All right, so here's our contact information. We're open to you emailing your resumes for us to review, or just if you have any questions about the job application process and the hiring process in general, feel free to email us or call me whenever you have a chance or whenever you want to. Okay, we definitely want to help you succeed in your career and your professional development. And yeah, I mean, so we can leave the last 5 minutes to questions. Yeah, so it's going to take about half a minute to a minute for us to like respond to your questions because there's a lag.
Also, please make sure to sign in because I know a couple of you are here as I see you commenting, but I do not see your name in the sign-in sheet. So definitely sign in, please.
Thank you guys so much for coming to our webinar, and we hope that you learned something. But yeah, again, 4 more minutes for questions and we'll answer it accordingly. It doesn't even have to be related to. Also, hashtag go to FTC.
How do we sign in? A couple times I've posted that tiny URL link, so tinyurl.com/CapiKeyWins, and then you just fill out the form.
Okay. Alex asked, if I'm transferring from a community college to university, should I keep both on resume for education or just the university? It depends on when you're applying for a job. You know, if you have relevant coursework from your community college, and if you're fresh out of the community college, then I would say keep it in your resume. You know, because that shows you're just like, you've been in school for a while and you have the experience. However, if it comes to some point where like, you know, you're running out of space in your resume to write because you have so much work experience and stuff, I would say the community college experience would be the first to go. Also, common mistake: don't put your high school experience in your resume if you're in college. That's irrelevant now. You know? Okay. I wouldn't take it seriously. If I'm a hiring manager and you are applying for a job while you're in college, I would not take your resume very seriously if you put your high school experience in there.
Any other questions?
2 more minutes. Go to UOP's Key to College this Saturday. It's at UOP. It's at the Bio Building, right, Tracy?
David, you answer this question. What if you are applying to be a high school tutor? Is having high school experience necessary for a resume?
You can say that you went to that high school if you are applying to that same high school, but I would say still it's pretty irrelevant because I would say a high school experience is a pretty general experience unless you've done some internships back then. Yeah.
Okay, so next question for tomorrow. How are we going to tally who raised the most money? Okay, so for that, since we are having the Key Club /KeyWins versus Circle K fundraiser, basically however much you guys raise, your president will be telling me that amount, and then I'll be adding all the amounts together, and then in the event page, I will post which branch raised the most money. So just make sure your president messages me how much they've raised by the end of tomorrow, or I'll just ask them. And then you don't have to give me the money. You guys can send it in. So for Circle K, obviously, since I know that's Dale, you guys can bring a check of how much you guys have raised to FTC and then turn it in there. And then that will count as fundraising for PTP. And then for Tabitha, what would the employer think of you if for your extracurricular you are doing completely different things? For example, I go from mock trial all the way to engineering. For that, I would say that you can include your things or your involvements. If they have some related skill that you've learned that have to do with what you want to do, I would list that in maybe like a bullet section. So it seems like you're interested in engineering. So if you learn something in mock trial that you can use for an engineering job, then I would definitely list mock trial and then also write what you learned from mock trial that you could use.
I would typically put extracurricular experience to the bottom of the resume, which I would also like to call it the icing on the cake. You have all this awesome experience on top. What basically the bottom would be like fun facts. I'm also a very well-rounded student. In addition to engineering, I also go out of my way to use my social skills or my leadership skills and build them up at the mock trial as well. Just like in my resume, I put Circle K International as my experience, and also the Vietnamese Student Association in my experience, just to show that I am doing everything else as well, like other things as well, in addition to my accomplishments. Yeah. Yeah. Fun fact, I got my software engineering job through a Kiwanian. So so I literally just asked him like, hey, can you help me network and find someone that like can work with me in my field? And the next week he's like, call me, right? So it's pretty cool. A resume is not a make or break in your career. There's also the interview session, and there's also other things as well, the screening section as well. However, I also want to push that, like, in this day and age, it's all about networking as well. Our resume can say so much, but do your best and like go out there and meet new people and network about yourself, because you'll never know who you're going to run into and who's going to help you succeed in your professional development. It's pretty surprising. Circle K and T Club are really powerful tools to get that network in and also help you build your leadership experience as well. All right. So any last questions before we end this webinar? Take one more question. Yeah. Tatiana said, next webinar, how to network yourself in. We were actually thinking about that.
That's actually funny because we were thinking about doing that.
Yeah. Wow, Tatiana. 2 steps ahead of us. Yeah. Yeah, so if no more questions, that is the end of our webinar. Thank you all so much for coming out to the webinar and supporting us. We hope the best for your professional development, and yeah, I mean, just contact us whenever you need help or you have any questions. We won't bite. I actually have no one else to talk to, so just talk to me sometimes. So,
that's true.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Also, if you guys haven't yet, sign up for CapiKeyWins Pen Pals.
Mm-hmm. Also, go to Key to College on Saturday. It's going to be fun.
You're welcome, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yes, he does, Carrie.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. There's 13 watching now. Introduce yourself.
Mine says 11.
Huh? Sign up for
11. Sign in. I know a couple of you guys still haven't signed in because I'm looking at the sign-in sheet.
Yep. Sign in. get those experiences. It's helps with MRP, and it
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So don't let the lack of webinars be your only reason why you're not bronze or silver.
And then for those of you in Circle K, I'll be emailing your presidents the list of people who attended so they can surf you.
Kayleen? Hello. Cool. So,
David, we have a question.
Why do I bite my members? I don't know. They all suck. Just kidding. Oh, if you see me, ask me for my business card.
Are you gonna bring enough this time?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna bring it to Key to College.
More than 3?
Yes, at least 3. I'm not a bully. I like everyone. Let's see. Does anyone else have anything to plug in?
Yeah, David, you ran out last time. Tabitha said.
Man.
Or
Go to Key to
Tatiana
College
said.
at UOP then. Yeah. If you're IRFed, yep. Yes, Carrie, you can have a new one. All right. I don't know how to properly end a webinar, so just leave. Yes, the business cards are also in the spirit packs, which are really great.
Have you ended it yet, David?
No.
David, we're still live.
It's still live.
Do you not know how to end it?
I do know how to end it. It's just I don't know how to end it effectively. All right, bye y'all. Bye. Bye guys. Thank you for coming to our webinar. Blah 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 blah. Stop broadcast. Woo!